John Carter's small shuttle broke through the moon's thin atmosphere, its engines whining as it descended toward the gray, lifeless surface. He had seen hundreds of moons in his life, some alive with colonies and trade, others silent and empty, like old tombstones floating in space. This one felt different. The readings on his instruments showed structures buried under dust, power signals faint but steady, as if the moon was holding its breath, waiting. John adjusted the controls and steered toward a cluster of domes and long corridors, partially collapsed under craters. The base looked old, abandoned, but not completely dead. That was unusual. As he landed, John felt a small thrill. He had spent years exploring uncharted areas, finding wrecked ships and ruins. But this place seemed intentional. He climbed down the shuttle ramp, his boots crunching on gray dust that smelled faintly metallic. The sun above the black sky was weak, just a pale glow, but it cast long shadows that stretched across the broken structures. He reached the main entrance, a heavy metal door that had fallen slightly off its hinges. John pushed it with all his strength, and it groaned before giving way. Inside, the base was silent. Nothing moved, no hum of machines, except for the faint lights that blinked in some hallways. John ran a scanner across the walls, looking for signs of life. None appeared. Yet the place had been designed for humans or human-like visitors. He could tell by the proportions of the rooms and the markings on the walls. It was strange, because the records in his ship's database said no humans had ever visited this moon. Yet here, the base seemed built for someone exactly like him. He stepped carefully, making sure not to disturb any debris. The floor was cracked in many places, and the air smelled stale, like dust mixed with rust. John moved through corridor after corridor, noting broken chairs, smashed consoles, and torn wiring. He touched some of the walls, feeling strange carvings. They looked like letters, but not like any he had ever seen. Then he realized they were human symbols. Initials scratched by hand, long ago. That meant someone had been here, humans like him, but they were not recorded anywhere. John reached a hallway that opened into a large control room. The ceiling had partially collapsed, and beams of sunlight streamed through gaps, illuminating dusty consoles. He ran his scanner over the machines. Surprisingly, some still had power. A flickering holographic display came alive, showing graphs and data, old yet intact. John leaned closer. The screens showed activity logs of something called a deep space project. Records of maintenance schedules, power cycles, and cryptic notes left by people he could not yet identify. The more he looked, the more he felt he had stumbled into something important. He moved deeper into the base. Each room told a story of hurried departure. There were personal items, scattered clothes, tools, empty food containers, and the signs of struggle. Doors were smashed open from the inside. John realized that whoever had been here had left in a rush, carrying only what they could. It was clear they were not expecting to return. He felt a chill. The base was not simply abandoned. It had been sealed to hide something valuable. John found a small library-like room with shelves full of logs, datapads, and personal notes. He brushed off the dust on one of the pads and activated it. A recorded voice started to play, soft but determined. It belonged to a woman, Lisa Morrow. She spoke of a human crew stranded on this moon decades ago, cut off from the galaxy during a war between alien civilizations. The logs described how the aliens had assumed humans were too fragile to survive in such harsh conditions, so they erased all records of them from official histories. Lisa explained how humans, despite being few, had repaired alien systems, adapted to the environment, and survived against impossible odds. John listened, fascinated and amazed. Each recording revealed more about the crew. He learned about their daily lives, the small victories, and the constant fear of alien patrols. Lisa spoke of a secret project, something hidden deep in the moon base, something the humans had risked everything to protect. John felt his heart beat faster. He had heard legends of lost human ships that were said to hold advanced technology, but none had ever been found. Could this be one of them? He wandered through more corridors, passing rooms filled with broken equipment and alien architecture modified by human hands. There were signs of battle everywhere, scorched walls, damaged doors, and tools left in haste. John imagined the crew fighting off alien attacks, using human ingenuity and courage to survive. He felt respect and awe. Humans were supposed to be insignificant in this part of the galaxy. Yet here, on this deserted moon, their mark was unmistakable. As night fell, the black sky outside the base became even more silent and empty. John stayed near the control room, examining the records further. The deeper he went, the more he understood that this base was a testament to human perseverance. It was not just a place, it was a story carved into metal and stone, and he had just started to uncover it. John found a staircase leading down into the lower levels, to areas not on any maps. The air grew colder, and the lights flickered more. He could hear the hum of old machinery running somewhere far below. He paused at the top, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The logs hinted that what he would find was beyond anything he had imagined, something the humans had built in secret. He took a deep breath and started down. Every step echoed in the empty corridors. He felt like he was walking into the past, into the lives of humans who had been forgotten by the galaxy. The walls around him seemed to whisper stories, reminding him of the courage and ingenuity that defined humans, even when the universe thought they were weak. John felt a strange bond forming with these lost explorers. They had survived here without recognition, leaving a legacy hidden in the shadows. Finally, he reached a large door at the bottom of the staircase. It was reinforced, heavy, and sealed tight. His scanner showed traces of energy behind it, old, but stable. He ran his hand across the surface, feeling the vibrations of dormant machinery inside. The logs suggested that this was where the humans had stored their most valuable creation, a starship that could survive anything and travel farther than any other. John's heart raced. He had found the entrance to something extraordinary. He paused, knowing the next step would change everything. Opening the door meant entering the world of those forgotten humans, touching a part of history that the galaxy had erased. John smiled slightly. This was why he became an explorer, not for money, not for fame, but for moments like this, when he could uncover truths that others had missed, when he could step into history itself. With careful effort, he began to work on the door, examining the locks and seals. Each mechanism was complex, showing a mix of alien technology and human design. John marveled at the ingenuity. These people had not just survived, they had built wonders in secret, things designed to endure the galaxy itself. As he worked, he felt a connection to them, as if their courage was reaching across decades to guide him. Finally, the door clicked and slowly swung open. A faint light spilled out, and John stepped into a vast underground chamber. The smell of dust and metal was stronger here, and the hum of machinery filled the air. In the center, covered by sheets and debris, he could see the shape of a starship, sleek but powerful, unlike any human design known in the galaxy. John felt his breath catch. It was more than just a ship, it was proof. Proof that humans could survive, adapt, and thrive, even when the universe forgot them. John stood there for a long moment, simply looking, absorbing the enormity of what he had found. The logs, the base, the battles, and now, this ship. It all came together as a story of courage, survival, and ingenuity. The galaxy had tried to erase humans, But here, in this deserted moon base, John had found evidence that humans were stronger and braver than anyone had imagined. He knew that the next steps would be dangerous. The ship had been hidden for a reason, and yet, he could not turn back. He had come this far, and he would see this story to its end. With a deep breath, he stepped closer, ready to touch the ship, ready to wake it, and ready to uncover the legacy of humans who refused to vanish quietly. John Carter stood in the vast chamber, staring at the hidden starship. Dust coated every surface, and the air smelled of metal and long-forgotten oil. The ship's sleek hull gleamed faintly under the flickering lights of the base. It was large, bigger than any human craft he had ever seen, yet designed with careful precision. Every panel, every curve, suggested that it was not just for travel. It was built to endure, to survive, to defy time and space itself. John's heart pounded with excitement. He knew he had found something extraordinary. He stepped closer, brushing off the debris from the ship's control panel. As he ran his hand over the surface, a soft hum began. Lights blinked along the hull, and slowly, the ship's systems awakened. A holographic display projected from the console, showing a map of nearby star systems, energy reserves, and a log of missions long past. John's eyes widened. The ship was not just operational, it was intelligent. It had an AI, and it remembered its human crew. A calm, synthetic voice filled the chamber. "Welcome, human. It has been decades since my crew last entered this base. I am the Starship AI, Caden. Your presence has been detected and verified. Identity confirmed. Human John Carter." John took a step back, astonished. The AI's voice was gentle but confident, as if it had been waiting for someone like him for a long time. "Caden," John said carefully, I think you were hidden here for a reason. Can you tell me what happened to the crew?" The AI paused for a moment, then began recounting events from decades ago. John listened intently, following the story through holographic images projected into the air. The crew had been humans sent on a special mission, far beyond known space. The galaxy was at war, and alien powers considered humans weak and expendable. The crew had been stranded on this moon when the aliens abandoned the project, trying to erase all traces of human involvement. The humans had not given up. Lisa Morrow, the ship's captain, had led the crew with courage and intelligence. They repaired alien machinery, expanded the base, and adapted alien technology for human use. The AI showed holographic diagrams of the base, pointing out hidden rooms, energy cores, and defense systems that John had not yet seen. The crew had anticipated discovery, leaving notes, recordings, and data caches to guide anyone who might find them in the future. John moved carefully around the ship, taking in the details. Tools were still stored in compartments, supplies stacked in hidden lockers. The ship had been prepared for long-term survival, designed to operate without outside support. John realized the AI had been monitoring the base silently all these years, waiting for a human to return and continue the mission. As he explored, John found logs recorded by Lisa Morrow herself. Her voice was steady, but filled with determination. She spoke of the challenges they faced: food shortages, alien patrols, and technical failures. She described how the crew had defended the base, using human ingenuity to turn alien systems against attackers. John felt a deep respect for them. These humans had survived when no one thought they could, and they had done so quietly, leaving only whispers behind. The AI Caden began to explain the most important part of their mission. Hidden beneath the base, in a reinforced hangar, was the Starship itself. It was meant as a last hope, a vessel that could carry humans safely across the galaxy, even through dangerous and uncharted regions. The ship's design incorporated human engineering with alien technology, making it faster, stronger, and more resilient than anything else in known space. The AI emphasized that the ship was not just a machine, it was a legacy, proof that humans could survive and thrive against impossible odds. John felt a thrill of excitement. He realized that what he had found was more than a lost ship. It was a message to the galaxy. Humans had been here before. They had fought, adapted, and endured. And their story had been erased. Now, it could be told again. John moved to the ship's control panel, scanning the systems. Caden guided him through activation procedures, showing how to power the engines, restore life support, and access navigation systems. Every step felt like uncovering a secret treasure, a combination of human courage and technical brilliance left behind by a forgotten crew. While John worked, he continued to explore the base. He found rooms that had been living quarters, filled with personal items, pictures, and diaries. Each object told a story. A worn notebook showed sketches of alien technology adapted for human use. A simple metal cup, dented and scratched, reminded him that these humans had lived, eaten, and slept here in fear and hope. He could almost see them moving through the corridors, planning, repairing, and defending their home. John paused at one of the walls, noticing strange markings he had not seen before. The symbols were simple but precise, instructions for operating hidden systems. He followed the directions and discovered a small hidden chamber containing spare parts and emergency tools. The AI explained that Lisa and her crew had anticipated failures, ensuring the ship could be repaired even decades later. John marveled at their foresight. Humans, he realized, were not just survivors, they were planners, thinkers, and dreamers. As he moved back toward the ship, John's scanner picked up faint traces of energy in other sections of the base. It seemed that some systems had remained active, powered by long-lasting cores installed by the crew. The AI explained that these systems had been used to maintain the base in minimal condition, keeping critical areas intact, while the rest of the moon fell into silence. John felt a sense of wonder. The crew had planned for the long term, leaving a quiet, enduring mark on a galaxy that had tried to forget them. He spent hours exploring, documenting, and learning from the AI. Every log, every recording, revealed more about human resilience. John realized that humans were underestimated across the galaxy, not because they were weak, but because they survived in ways others could not imagine. They had fought, adapted, and endured, often alone, leaving behind traces that only a determined explorer could find. As he prepared to spend the night in the base, John reviewed the logs once more. The crew had left warnings about potential hazards, from alien patrols that might still be near, to automated defenses designed to protect the ship. John understood that finding the ship was only the first step. Awakening it, understanding its systems, and safely returning it to the stars would require skill, patience, and courage, the same qualities the lost crew had demonstrated decades before. He finally settled in one of the remaining living quarters, using a small portable heater and ration packs to survive the cold lunar night. Outside, the gray moon stretched endlessly, silent and still. He was following in the footsteps of humans who had dared to survive where no one expected them to. He could hear the faint hum of Caden running systems in the background, like a heartbeat, keeping the legacy alive. John lay down on a cot, staring at the ceiling and thinking about the past. Lisa Morrow's logs played softly from a nearby console. She spoke of hope, courage, and determination, her voice reaching across time to guide him. John realized that finding the Starship and the base was not just about discovery, it was about remembering, honoring, and continuing the story of humans who refused to be forgotten. Before sleep took him, John made a plan. He would explore every corner of the base, understand the ship, and prepare it for launch. He would carry the story of the lost crew forward, ensuring that the galaxy could not ignore human ingenuity and courage. As he drifted into a light sleep, he felt a sense of purpose he had never felt before. He was no longer just an explorer, he was a witness to history, a link in a chain that connected past humans to the future. And somewhere deep within the ship, hidden and patient, Caden continued to monitor him, ready to guide, assist, and awaken the legacy of humans who had survived against all odds. The adventure had only just begun. John Carter spent the early hours of the lunar day exploring the lower levels of the base, the faint hum of the Starship systems. Caden's voice guiding him through minor repairs and scans filled the air. John had learned much from the logs left by Lisa Morrow and her crew, but he knew that the real secret of the base lay below, in the deepest hangar, where the lost Starship had rested for decades. He felt a thrill of anticipation as he moved through the corridors, each step echoing in the stillness of the abandoned moon. The stairwell leading down to the hangar was wide and reinforced, a testament to the crew's foresight. John's scanner picked up energy readings that confirmed the Starship systems were active, even if in a low-power state. Caden explained that the ship had been designed to preserve itself, to remain dormant, yet protected, waiting for a human to arrive. John smiled at the thought. Humans had always been clever, even when no one was watching. And here was proof that they had planned for decades ahead. As he descended, John noticed walls lined with schematics, some etched into metal plates, others projected as holograms from still active terminals. The diagrams showed the ship's core systems, engine configurations, and defensive measures. John realized that the ship was far beyond contemporary human design, combining human creativity with alien engineering principles. It was strong, fast, and durable, built to survive dangers no ordinary vessel could endure. Reaching the hangar, John's breath caught. The Starship loomed in the center, massive and elegant, its hull covered in dust, but clearly in perfect condition. The lighting revealed angular designs that suggested speed, while reinforced plating hinted at defense capabilities. The ship's cockpit glowed softly, welcoming him. John approached cautiously, aware that activating it might be dangerous, yet eager to learn its secrets. He ran his hands over the hull, feeling the subtle vibrations of dormant energy. "Caden," John said, "show me everything about this ship. I need to understand it completely before we try to move it." The AI's voice was calm but precise. "Understood, John. This starship was designed for extended missions beyond the galaxy's known regions. Its propulsion systems allow it to travel faster than conventional ships. Defensive systems include energy shields and adaptive armor. Internal life support can sustain a full crew for decades. All systems are controlled through a combination of human interfaces and AI support. John studied the holographic projections, memorizing controls and pathways. He could feel the brilliance of Lisa Morrow and her team in every detail. The ship was more than a vessel. It was a survival machine, a statement that humans could endure when no one believed they could. John traced his fingers along a console and saw a section marked as Legacy Protocols. It included data on the crew's journey, maps of unknown star systems, and instructions for a new human mission that had never been completed. He worked for hours, carefully bringing systems online. Lights pulsed, engines hummed softly, and the AI guided him through checks of the ship's core. John felt as though he were stepping into the past, reconnecting with humans who had been lost to history. Caden's voice narrated details about the crew, their victories, their struggles, and the clever ways they had adapted alien technology for human survival. John felt a growing sense of awe and responsibility. He was not just discovering a ship, he was inheriting a legacy. As he activated more systems, the ship responded. Doors opened. Compartments revealed stored supplies, and panels displayed navigation data. John explored every section carefully. He found living quarters equipped for long-term missions, laboratories filled with instruments designed for exploration, and storage areas containing supplies that could last years. Everything had been prepared for humans who might never return. The AI suggested a diagnostic test of the propulsion system. John hesitated, knowing that activating the engines could be risky after decades of dormancy. He ran a simulation first, carefully following Caden's instructions. Lights on the hull shifted, energy readings stabilized, and the ship responded as if it had been waiting for this moment. John could feel the power beneath his hands, a silent promise of speed and strength. He paused and thought about the crew. Lisa Morrow and her team had faced unimaginable dangers, yet they had built something that could survive all of it. John felt a deep respect for their foresight and courage. The logs had spoken of battles fought with ingenuity and determination, and now he understood that the ship was their final statement to the galaxy. Humans endure. As night fell on the moon, John prepared to test the ship's systems further. He moved into the cockpit, taking his seat with a mix of caution and excitement. Caden guided him through startup procedures, powering the engines incrementally, checking shields, life support, and navigation systems. The ship responded with precision, as though remembering its crew and ready to follow John's commands. Suddenly, the holographic display projected a map of nearby star systems, including unknown regions not recorded in any database. Caden explained that these were areas where humans had traveled secretly, surveying and collecting information that the galaxy had never seen. John realized that this ship held more than speed or strength. It held knowledge, history, and the possibility of human exploration far beyond current limits. He ran simulations of navigation and defense, practicing maneuvers in the empty hangar. The ship moved smoothly, engines humming in controlled bursts. John marveled at its responsiveness. It was like nothing he had ever experienced, fast, intelligent, and precise. He began to imagine the missions he could undertake, exploring new systems, mapping unknown planets, and carrying humanity's legacy into the farthest reaches of space. After hours of careful testing, John stepped out of the cockpit and walked around the hangar. He examined the exterior, checking armor, hull integrity, and energy nodes. Every detail confirmed what Caden had said. This ship was built to endure. The design was elegant, functional, and clearly the work of humans who had combined courage with intelligence. John felt a sense of pride and connection. Humans had left their mark here, in a place no one would have expected, and he was now part of that story. He paused near a storage area and found personal effects of the original crew tools, journals, and personal items carefully stored for preservation. He picked up a small notebook, flipping through pages filled with sketches, calculations, and notes. The crew had thought of everything, even contingencies for emergencies. John could see their personalities in the pages. Determination, hope, humor, and courage. It was a reminder that humans, even in extreme circumstances, never gave up. John returned to the cockpit as the moon's night stretched long and silent outside. He activated the life support fully and checked energy reserves. Caden reported all systems stable, ready for activation. John took a deep breath. The next step would be crucial. Awakening the ship fully would reveal its capabilities, test his skill, and connect him directly to the legacy left by humans decades ago. He initiated the final startup sequence. The engines roared softly, vibrations running through the hangar floor. Lights pulsed rhythmically, shields activated, and the ship hummed like a living being. John's hands flew across controls, guided by Caden, ensuring every system functioned perfectly. The Starship came alive, sleek and powerful, a monument to human ingenuity and survival. As he looked around the cockpit, John felt the weight of responsibility. This ship was more than a machine. It was proof that humans could survive, adapt, and thrive against any odds. It was a message to the galaxy that humans could not be erased. And now, he was the one to carry it forward, to continue the work of Lisa Morrow and her team, and to take humanity's legacy where no one had gone before. He paused and considered his next move. The moon base had hidden the Starship for decades, waiting for a human, brave enough and skilled enough to awaken it. John was that human. He felt excitement, pride, and a sense of duty. The adventure was far from over. The galaxy would soon see what humans could do when given the tools, courage, and determination to succeed. As he prepared the ship for initial launch tests within the hangar, John realized that this was just the beginning. The lost Starship was awake, its systems ready, and its legacy alive. Soon, it would leave the moon, carrying humanity's mark to the stars. And John Carter, the lone explorer, would be the one to guide it, bridging the past and the future, and showing the galaxy that humans are never weak, never forgotten, and always capable of extraordinary feats. John Carter sat in the cockpit, staring at the controls of the Starship. The hum of the engines filled the hangar, vibrating through the floor and walls of the abandoned moon base. Outside, the gray lunar surface stretched endlessly, silent and empty. He had activated the ship, explored its systems, and learned the story of the crew that had hidden it. Now came the moment of truth. He had to move it, to take humanity's legacy beyond the moon and into the stars. He checked the life support and navigation systems, making sure every sensor was functioning perfectly. Caden, the ship's AI, ran a full diagnostic, confirming that shields, engines, and all internal systems were ready. "John," the AI said calmly, "all systems are functional. The Starship is ready for launch. Shall we proceed?" John took a deep breath. "Yes, Caden." He initiated the launch sequence. Lights pulsed rhythmically across the hull, and the engines began a soft, low roar. The ship vibrated slightly as systems came online, then steadied as power stabilized. John felt the thrill of control and the weight of responsibility at the same time. He was not just piloting a starship. He was carrying the courage, ingenuity, and survival of a crew that had been erased from history. As the ship lifted off, the hangar shook. Debris rattled from the ceiling. Dust swirled around him. But the Starship moved with precision. John guided it through the tunnels leading to the open surface, Caden providing real-time adjustments to navigation and energy output. The ship's hull shimmered as its shields activated fully, and the engines roared with power unmatched by any vessel John had piloted before. Outside, the barren moon landscape disappeared beneath him, and the stars stretched endlessly ahead. Once clear of the moon, John tested the ship's engines at full power. Caden displayed energy outputs and travel speeds far beyond anything he had seen. The ship accelerated smoothly, gliding through space as if it were alive. John felt a sense of awe. The ship had been built by humans who had no choice but to survive, yet had created something extraordinary. Every control, every function, reflected their skill and determination. As he settled into steady travel, John accessed the legacy data stored in the ship. Maps of uncharted systems, hidden resources, and recorded observations of alien worlds filled the holographic displays. He realized that Lisa Morrow and her crew had not only survived, they had explored, mapped, and documented areas the galaxy did not know existed. Humanity had left its mark quietly, a hidden thread woven through the stars. John felt a surge of pride. Humans were underestimated. But here was proof that they were clever, resilient, and unstoppable when pushed to extremes. He decided to transmit a signal, carefully encoded, to nearby human colonies and outposts. It carried the story of the lost crew, the hidden base, and the capabilities of the Starship. He knew the message would travel far, reaching ears that might have doubted humanity's strength. Caden assisted, ensuring the signal could not be intercepted by hostile forces. Within hours, the signal began to spread across known space, carrying the message that humans endured, adapted, and thrived, even when forgotten. While traveling through the nearby star systems, John explored the ship's hidden features. Caden revealed secret compartments, weapon systems, and adaptive shields. The vessel was prepared for any challenge, from hostile environments to enemy attacks. John ran simulations, testing, maneuvering, and defensive systems. The Starship responded flawlessly, demonstrating human ingenuity and foresight that had been waiting for decades to be rediscovered. As he navigated, John encountered traces of alien patrols in nearby systems. Sensors detected ships moving quietly, as if unaware of the lost starship's awakening. John realized these were remnants of factions that had once considered humans weak and expendable. The thrill of proving them wrong fueled his determination. He activated stealth systems and navigated past them, demonstrating the clever design of the vessel. Humans had survived against far greater odds before, and now, their starship was proof of their resilience. Days passed as John traveled through uncharted space, learning more about the ship's capabilities. Caden shared logs of previous human missions, detailing survival strategies, observations of alien cultures, and innovative engineering solutions. John began to understand the depth of the crew's foresight. They had anticipated every challenge, ensuring that their work would endure long after they were gone. Each discovery strengthened his resolve to carry their legacy forward. He decided to visit one of the systems marked on the Starship's maps. It was a planet rich in resources, hidden from common trade routes, with conditions suitable for human colonization. John landed carefully, testing environmental systems and collecting data. He marveled at the clever ways the original crew had planned for sustainability, storing seeds, water, and energy modules that could support life. This was not just a ship, it was a mobile platform for human survival, exploration, and expansion. As he explored the planet, John reflected on the journey so far. The lost crew had been brave, intelligent, and resourceful. They had faced hostility, isolation, and danger. Yet they had thrived and left behind proof of their achievements. John felt connected to them, as though their courage and ingenuity flowed through him. He knew that the galaxy would never forget humans again. Humanity had survived in silence, and now it would shine across the stars. He returned to the Starship, ready to continue his journey. The vessel responded smoothly to his commands, engines purring like a living being. John plotted a course for more hidden systems, determined to explore, map, and document the universe the lost crew had discovered. He realized that the Starship was more than a tool. It was a bridge between past and future, a living testament to human courage, adaptability, and determination. While traveling through a particularly dense asteroid field, John tested the ship's defensive systems. Energy shields activated, engines adjusted automatically, and the vessel navigated effortlessly through obstacles that would have destroyed ordinary ships. John marveled at the design. Every system, every function, reflected the brilliance of humans who had survived against overwhelming odds. He felt a surge of pride. Humans were underestimated, but here was proof that they were capable of greatness beyond imagination. As he traveled, John encountered signs of alien civilizations. Abandoned stations, derelict ships, and hidden colonies filled the maps. Caden guided him, highlighting areas that could hold resources, knowledge, or threats. John realized that the Starship was not just a tool for exploration, it was a key to reclaiming humanity's place in the galaxy. He could use it to rediscover lost systems, protect human colonies, and ensure that the legacy of Lisa Morrow and her crew would never be forgotten. Days turned into weeks as John navigated, explored, and tested the Starship. Each discovery strengthened his understanding of the universe and humanity's place in it. He documented everything, storing data in secure modules for future humans to find. Caden assisted, maintaining systems, running simulations, and providing guidance. Together, they prepared for the next step, returning to known human space with proof that humans were more capable than anyone had imagined. As he approached the edge of mapped territory, John activated long-range communication systems. He transmitted logs, maps, and stories from the lost crew to human colonies, ensuring that their sacrifice, ingenuity, and courage would be recognized. The responses were immediate. Transmissions of astonishment, gratitude, and respect filled the communications channels. Humans had survived, adapted, and thrived. And now, the galaxy knew it. John felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had fulfilled the mission of discovery, remembrance, and revelation. While preparing for the return journey, John reflected on everything he had learned. The lost crew had demonstrated courage, intelligence, and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. Their starship was more than a vessel. It was a symbol, proof that humans could endure anything. John realized that humanity's story was far from over. They would explore, adapt, and thrive, leaving their mark wherever they went. As he set course for the nearest human colony, John felt a sense of pride and hope. The galaxy would remember humans, not as weak or expendable, but as survivors, innovators, and explorers. The lost starship, once hidden in silence, now soared through space as a beacon of human ingenuity. John knew that the adventure was only beginning. The universe was vast, full of unknown challenges. But with courage, intelligence, and determination, humans would thrive. As stars streaked past the windows of the cockpit, John Carter smiled. He had awakened a legacy, connected with the past, and carried humanity into the future. The galaxy would never doubt humans again. They were resilient, resourceful, and unstoppable. And with the lost starship at his command, John would continue their story, exploring new worlds, facing challenges, and proving to every corner of the universe that humans endure, no matter the odds. The hum of the engines, the flicker of the holographic displays, and the calm guidance of Caden filled the cockpit. John felt a deep connection to the lost crew, to humanity, and to the universe itself. He was not just a lone explorer, he was the carrier of a legacy, the one who would ensure that humans, once forgotten, would be remembered forever. The stars ahead were endless, full of possibilities, and John was ready to meet them, carrying courage, intelligence, and hope into the infinite reaches of space.